Hey, everybody, it's Friday, and you know what that means. Yep, it's time for the Roundtable. I'm Ron Johnson. This is Locked On Sports Minnesota. I'm your host today. We have no Reggie Wilson from Care 11. Why? Because the Lynx and some other stuff. We know there's a lot of sports going on in Minnesota, but we got Julia Daniels joining us from Care 11. She's going to do double duty. She's doing everything Reggie would do and what she has to do, but we know Julia can carry the load. We got Sam Ekstrom, the producer, the marketer, the co-host, the guy that does it all for Locked On Sports. And this is Friday, and this is the Roundtable. Normally on Friday, I have fat waffles, but my mom's in town for my daughter's birthday, so I think we're going to go crepes. And unlike Ricky Bobby, I'm not afraid to say crepes are good. But we have a lot of topics we like to jump into on the show. We like to get petty every once in a while. And what better way this week to get petty? We're going to talk a little Netflix, because Netflix is the petty of the world when it comes to different shows. And yep, starting five, Anthony Edwards, but we have to get this. And before we get locked on these topics, we'll be back on a short break.
This is the Locked On Sports Minnesota Roundtable, your favorite podcast personalities along with Care 11 sports reporters weighing in on the hottest topics. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And like I said, we have to get locked in on these topics because you got the Vikings, you got the Wild, hockey. I feel like hockey never ends, by the way. But you got the Vikings, you got the Wild. No Twins, people. They are done. But the Guardians, let's be real, Guardians are actually better than we thought. You got the Lynx, who are playing for their lives. You got Netflix now. We had Justin Jefferson. Now you got Anthony Edwards. I think it's time for Anthony Edwards and Justin Jefferson to get their own Netflix special and just do like Minnesota together. Like go to sporting events.
A buddy cop comedy.
Exactly. Just go support each other. Just go hang around. Be fathers together. Do everything you got to do. Do whatever you do. Do friendship. Do parties. I mean, let's see it all. But we also have to understand there's some important stuff like the Lions and the Vikings. That's coming up. So before we get locked on these topics, let me see what the guys got and the girls. Sam, what you got for us today?
Yeah.
And there's no guys, by the way. Reggie's not here. So we should play some like slow, sad music for Reggie not being here. But no. So we just got guy and girl, not guys. Guy and girl. So Sam, what you got for us today?
The boldest, baddest predictions coming your way for Vikings Lions on Sunday. We're all going to unleash the hot takes.
We've got to talk about the Lynx. They have a must-win Game 4 in the WNBA Finals versus the Liberty. We'll talk about what happened in Game 3 and our expectation for tonight.
And you know what? I'm kind of like, Reggie missed his opportunity because I was going to give his Lakers some love. I mean, we're going to talk about, I don't know if you guys saw Dalton Connect. Like he went off. He scored 35 points in overtime. 20 of his points came in overtime for the Lakers. I don't know if that has nothing to do with my topic, but I was going to give Reggie's team some love because when I watched LeBron sitting there, speaking of Netflix, he looked like he was kind of mad that Bronny wasn't the guy getting the 20 points in the overtime. He's like, man, why can't Bronny do this, man? He probably got in the car like, Bronny, you see what that dude did? His daddy ain't even in the NBA. How you can't shoot like him? But we got to talk about the Timberwolves. They start on Tuesday. And we are going to predict their win total. Last year, we were kind of close on the basketball party. We'll see how our predictions favor on our show here. And then also, we're going to talk about Netflix. We've been doing this every week, people. We're going to give you our FanDuel locks. Now, we've had some locks for you guys to win some money. The Vikings were off last week, so we weren't able to give you guys anything. But you know what? They're back versus the Lions. And when I went through those lines, there's some juicy ones out there. I just saw a guy hit $29K on Twitter, Sam, off of $100 bet. $29K. It was an 8-leg parlay, and it hit. It was a bunch of like anytime scores, and somehow, some way, it was some first-time scores. So it was like first of the game scores, and it was some anytime scores. But he hit. I saw him go crazy on Twitter. So it works, people. So sometimes you can win $29K off of $100. And you might get bonus bets in that. So why not throw that in there too? Just take your bonus bets, make one $5 bet, because today's episode, we'll talk about FanDuel later, but today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Just download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, and download Game Time today right there on your device. You can take it wherever you go. I just looked up Vikings Lions tickets. There are some hot deals out there if you just want to be in the atmosphere like at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium where you stand around and you don't want to go to your seats. There are some cheap seats, but you don't have to go there. You can go stand on the concrete somewhere and be amongst the pretty people and watch the game because it's going to be a good one. This is the best two teams in the NFC, probably in the NFL. And a lot of people are saying the Lions are the best team in the NFC. We saw, I got a little take about that, so I'll bring that up, the little teaser, but there was two NFL players who recently just said, screw the Vikings, the Lions are the best team. And I'm going to ask you guys if that was petty or on purpose, and or purposeful, sorry, if that made sense. But if it was a petty take or if it was a purposeful take, because the two people that said it, I personally think it was a little petty, but I'll bring that up in the next topic. But you guys know what it is. Ready? So what time is it?
Game time.
Game time.
There we go. So make sure you guys download the Game Time app. So now it's time to jump into this topics. Let's go, Sam. What you got?
All right, bold predictions. Vikings, Lions coming at you Sunday afternoon. Detroit does not shy away from the moment. Dan Campbell is a gambler. Campbell, the gamble. I think that's his nickname. I just made it up just now. But you know what? Brian Flores, Campbell the gamble. Brian Flores said something interesting in his press conference this week. He said he's going to fight fire with fire. And maybe that applies to KOC as well on the offensive side of the ball, because we know that Campbell's going to come in and he's going to go for it on fourth down. Whether he's at the 30, the 40, the 50, the goal line, he's going to go for it on fourth down. He's going to throw the kitchen sink at the Vikings here in a road division. My bold prediction is that KOC plays the same game and he tries to keep up and he fights fire with fire in terms of his gambles. I think the Vikings go 4 for 4 on fourth down in this game. I think KOC he's got like a little menu on his play sheet, fourth down, money calls, and the Vikings execute in all of those situations, and he beats Campbell at his own game. That's my bold prediction for Sunday.
I like that one. Julia, what you got?
My bold prediction for this game is what I think the number is the Vikings have only trailed for like 3 minutes this season.
Mm-hmm.
I think this could be, because I would say this is their toughest opponent yet so far, which we've said that how many times this season. I think that this could be the first game where they really trail and have to kind of prove themselves in the second half. So my prediction is maybe things don't start out so hot the way that they have the past few weeks. And this is the first time that they go into the locker room at halftime and have to figure out a momentum change of some sort, because the Lions, I mean, it's a divisional game. There's way more on the line when it comes to this, and they're at home too. So it's always interesting to see how a team comes off a bye too. And if they can keep the momentum that they've had to start out the season. I think it's going to be a tight one, but everyone else that I was reading online last night has picked the Lions, just like the experts that pick on like CBS and things like that. They've picked the Lions by like 3 points or something like that. I think the Vikings pull this one out, but I think this is the first time that they trail for a significant amount of time and are able to climb out of a hole.
So I'm looking at turnovers, and when you think about turnovers, when you see the turnovers, that's where the Vikings live. They breathe it. Now the Packers, which is crazy, one of the highest differentials, and so the Lions as well, +6, the Vikings +4. You look at interceptions, though. We know the Vikings lead the league. We know the Lions are in there. I mean, I don't know if you guys knew this, but the top 5 intercepting teams in the NFL, the top 5, 4 of them are in the NFC North. That is nuts. 4 of them are in the NFC North. When you look at fumble takeaways out of the top 5, 2 of them are in the top 2 are in the NFC North. 8 for the Packers, 6 for the Bears. And so when you think about turnovers, you think about tough defense, you're thinking about takeaways. But then here's the other one, giveaways. Interceptions wise, you know that the Carolina Panthers, we know they are hot garbage. We know the Packers have turned the ball over a little bit as well. We know the Bears have. But you know who hasn't turned the ball over a lot? The Lions. The Lions are not turning the ball over a ton. They have no fumbles. They have not fumbled the ball. 0 fumbles this year. Which is absolutely I think Kevin O'Connell would pray for something like that. Like, please just don't fumble the ball. My hot take is the Vikings forced 2 turnovers on the Lions. The Lions are not a giveaway team. They've only had 4 interceptions and they've had 0 fumbles. 0. I'm going to say the Vikings turn them over twice. That is my hot take, because a lot of people say Jared Goff is smart with the ball, and I did a 3 to 4 play. Well, I think it's 4 plays for the Vikings. I did a play breakdown for them. And thanks to the Vikings, by the way, the graphics on it are cool. We're gonna tweet it out later today, I think. But they did a cool breakdown of the Lions game. And so my take, kind of like Baldy's breakdowns, you guys have seen that. So I'm kind of doing one of those on Twitter today. And the Vikings provided the footage. And so when I'm looking at the way the Lions attack, every defensive attack mode I've seen for them, it's on first and second down, and I bring that up. Nobody really challenges the Lions because it's hard to alert when you need to blitz on first and second down because you don't know what's coming. Third down and 6, you know it's coming. Second and 9 with the Lions, they're still willing to run the ball, and I think Dan Campbell does a great job of keeping people on their toes. I'm going with 2 turnovers because I think Brian Flores, and Sam, you know this, I love movies. The A-Team, Hannibal Buress was the leader of the A-Team, and then he had Fleck, which was Peck, Sergeant Peck, not Fleck, but Sergeant Peck was Bradley Cooper, so they call him Face because of course he's a good looking guy, but shirt off type of guy, in the Army. And then he had Rampage Jackson, who played Mr. T, who that was his role. And what he would always say to those guys is, you give me a day, I'm good. You give me a week, I'm great. You give me 6 months, I'm unbeatable. And I think that's where you're at with Brian Flores. You give me a week off, good luck. Because I've had 2 weeks now to watch your tape. I've had 2 weeks to watch what you guys do. I've had 2 weeks to prepare my defense for this game. And I think Brian Flores is sitting back because now this is like the piece de resistance. This is his Sistine Chapel. Like, he is going to paint the walls of US Bank Stadium with the blood of the Lions offense. Like, he is prepared to get after the quarterback. And I think he's okay with giving up the big play. But I think Gilmore being smart and having a week to rest, we already know Byron Murphy. I think that was the best thing for some of these older guys on the team, like Harrison Smith. They've had a week to rest now. So now they're coming out the bye week ready to go. The only thing that I'm annoyed at is Blake Cashman's toe. Like, Blake Cashman's toe needs to get it together. Like, get it together, man. Like, I know it's not Blake Cashman as a whole. It's just that little toe. But it's amazing what a little piece of your body can hold you back from doing. But we know Grugier Hill has proven he deserves reps as well. So I think Grugier Hill will fill in. The interception might be Grugier Hill because every time he starts a game, he gets a pick. And so this might be his chance again to start a game and get a pick on Jared Goff because he's not going to see him roam in the field. But Blake Cashman is a huge miss not being on the field if he can't go with that toe. But a lot of times people say, man, shoot me up. Like, shoot me up. If I can push off and it's just the pain, shoot me up and let's go. So we'll see what happens. But that's my bold prediction is 2 turnovers for the Lions. Now, here's where I go with you guys. I want to throw this one out to you. Oh, you have something, Sam?
No, I want to hear your petty or purposeful.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was going to add on too. Like, at some point, either the Vikings are going to have to stop turning the ball over, right? Because they've turned it over a lot this season. They've fumbled, they've thrown interceptions. Because I fear that at some point they won't be able to take the ball away as much as they have.
Correct.
So they got to keep doing it on Sunday until the Vikings can take care of the ball themselves. They got to keep forcing takeaways. But yeah, that's a good one. And now I want to hear petty or purposeful. Yeah,
Sam, because you're right. It sucks that for your team to have 11 interceptions, 11 and 2 forced fumbles, 13 takeaways, but you're only +4 because your team has given it away 9 times. Like that to me is just, that's careless. Like the interceptions are going to happen, but 5 fumbles, like that's that. I mean, that's why PJ Fleck says the ball is the program. Like, to be, you're a top 2 fumble give away the ball team, and the guys you're with, the Raiders and the Broncos, like, that's not a class I want to be in. I don't want to be in the class, even though, Sam, you were right. I cannot believe I picked the Saints because they are hot garbage. Like, I am so mad I picked the Saints. Sam, I'm so mad. Like, as soon as you said the whole thing and I was like, I'm going to stick with it. And then I was stupid enough to stick with it on my picks for my wife's school. And Sam, like, they are terrible. They're the bad news bears.
That last night, though,
they're bad. Like, they got injuries. Spencer Rattler, like that one that Annie Agar tweeted. Like, she always has jokes, but she tweeted that double fumble, like 2 linemen ran into him in the back. I mean, it was just like, what are y'all doing? And then the coach calls a timeout to come out of the timeout and kneel. Like, what was that? Like, what are you doing? Why just let the clock run out if you're gonna kneel? Like, why would you call a timeout to kneel? Like, just dumb stuff. Like, this is a bad, like the Saints are just bad right now. I don't know. And Sean Payton probably was over there just grinning ear to ear. Because I checked in every once in a while, and then once I think it was it 20 or some 33-9, I was like, all right, I'm done. This is horrible. This is just trash. And so anyway, petty or purposeful. So there was 2 athletes. I don't know if you guys can guess who they are, or one of the 2 that went on a podcast, because everybody's going on a podcast now. And they said, they were asked the question, like, are the Lions the best team in the NFC? And they were given some options, of course, undefeated teams. Vikings, the only one. No, the Lions are the best team in the NFC, and they've earned that because they are strong. They run the ball. They're tough, and their coach has them playing hard. They're going to be, push. They're going to be the push for the Super Bowl this year again. Like, they're going to be the team to get through to get to the Super Bowl. No love for the Vikings at all. Can you guess one of the 2 players that were on this podcast this week?
They're currently playing?
They're currently playing. One of the players had a big moment. He just went into NFL history. First player to ever do this. First receiver to ever do this.
Or are they Lions players?
No. They were up from another team, and they were just asked because they were saying, are you guys number 1 in the NFC? And they were like, well, no, we haven't proven it yet. But they know the Lions. They said the Lions are. That's what they said. 20 touchdowns, 20 running touchdowns, 20 passing touchdowns. For the first NFL receiver to ever go 20-20. 20 passing touchdowns, 20 receiving touchdowns. Rushing and receiving, I didn't think this player, I thought this player had way more than 20 touchdowns. No, it's a receiver. But you're on the right team. So it's that
rushing team. Debo?
Yep. So Debo is the first receiver. I would have never guessed he only has 20 career touchdowns. That's it. 20 career receiving touchdowns. That's it. And I'm like, I swore he was like a 10 touchdown a year guy, but he's not. He doesn't get a lot of receiving touchdowns. So he just got his 20th receiving touchdown, which then put him in by himself. He's one of one for a receiver, though. There's players that have had 20 and 20, but for a receiver to have 20 rushing touchdowns, he's the first receiver to get 20 rushing touchdowns. So that's kind of what it is, because it's like a lot of receivers have 20 passing touchdowns, but the rushing touchdowns for a receiver, because like running backs, they can get 20 receiving touchdowns, but most of them have 20 rushing touchdowns. So he's the first receiver to do it. But him and George Kittle went on. Would you say that was petty? Because they did lose to the Vikings. So would you say that was petty, or do you think they really believe, or they were being truthful to saying, no, I don't think the Vikings are the best?
I think no one has any faith in the Vikings. I don't think it's a petty thing. That's like Thursday Night Football the other week when they were talking about the best teams in the NFC and no one mentioned the Vikings. I think it's just, this is what happens. This is what we talk about. I feel like every single week where it's like, everyone kind of just like forgets that the Vikings exist, no matter how well they do. I think also people and anybody that's watched the NFL for a certain amount of years knows that like it's not until what we talked about last week, the later in the season, that people start to really have faith in teams that are doing well. And the Vikings have started out like this before, and things did not end well for them in the season. So I think I wouldn't necessarily say that it's petty. I really don't think that they're thinking that deep into it. I think that they're thinking about also like the storybook season that the Lions had last year and how much traction it gained. And I think a lot of people, especially like football players, are huge fans of Dan Campbell. He's such a guy, like he's such a man. And I don't think it was petty. I think it was just people like to see what's going on in Detroit. And the Lions have done well, but the Vikings, I feel like as well as they've done so far, they still have a lot to prove this season.
Sam.
Yeah, I'm going to say petty because, they don't want to give the team that beat them that much credit. But I think that as long as Sam Darnold is your quarterback this year, you're going to have people that overlook you. This is what the Lions went through. When Jared Goff went to Detroit, nobody believed in Jared Goff. He was damaged goods, probably to a lesser extent even than Sam Darnold, and it took him a couple of years to rehabilitate that image.
True.
And I don't know if at any point this year people are going to suddenly turn about face on their Sam Darnold opinion and say, all right, we were wrong, he's good. No, I think people are going to doubt him and this team all year simply because of who the quarterback is. So, and hey, Detroit's really good too. Detroit
They are.
Detroit's excellent. They made an NFC championship game, and they look like they're picking up where they left off this year. So I get it. I get why you would give the Lions the nod, and that's why this game on Sunday is so important to kind of reestablish yourself as, hey, we are the team to catch in the NFC North.
And I'll give you guys one more Vikings nugget. Now, and if you've seen this, let me know. The best QB wide receiver duos in the NFL. Have you seen that list?
Mm-mm.
So ESPN, Dan Orlovsky, Hugh Douglas, is it Hugh? No, it's not Hugh Douglas. It's Douglas from the Harry Douglas from the Falcons. So they had a list of the top 5 duos. Number 1 was CJ Stroud and not Stephon Diggs. CJ Stroud and Nico Collins. So I felt like that was clickbait to start it, because you're really just trying to, and I know Nico Collins, we've talked about this, is his explosive receiver right now because Stephon gets so much attention. So he's just he's smart, he's being smart, and if Diggs runs a dig, no pun intended, then he takes Nico Collins on the over. Like Nico is kind of doing what Jordan Addison did early on when he had Justin Jefferson. He's realizing, I'm not just going to go to Steph, I'm going to go to Nico, and Nico's been his most explosive receiver. Number 2, which they suck, but I will say he's putting up numbers, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Number 3, Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans. Number 4, now this one I think is not, I would not have gone this route. This feels like we just love this guy, so we got to talk about him, but he doesn't get credit. Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers. I would not have put them in the top 5. That duo to me does not, right, like that's not a top 5 duo. But number 5, our own Sam Darnold, and of course, Justin Jefferson. And so in the comments, of course, people are, I can agree. Like, and people are laughing at Zay Flowers. Like a lot of people are saying Zay Flowers, bruh, come on. Give me Kirko Chains and BBL Drizzy. Okay, that would caught me off guard. I did not know they were calling Drake London. For those that don't know, that's Drake. Drake is a rapper, and he has a song called BBL Drizzy. So they're saying Drake London is the Drake rapper in that video because he's very flavorful with the young ladies. Let's just say that. So Drake London has now taken on.
Actually, you know the origins of that?
No, what is the origin? I'm too old now. I don't even read. I try not to Google stuff like that because I'm like, I don't know what's going to come up.
With Kendrick and Drake, and Metro Boomin made a song with Kendrick, and the beef all started with these certain songs. So then Drake went on and said, Metro, shut your blah 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 up and make some beats. And so Metro came back and made BBL Drizzy because rumors are that Drake doesn't actually work out. He has
fake. I did hear that, the fake muscles. Yep.
And so then Drake turned it around in his song with Sexy Red and used the beat that Metro made and then made it as like he pays for all these BBLs for all these women.
Got it. Okay. I did hear the fake muscles thing. And we've heard that a lot in Hollywood because a lot of people are doing like Ozempic now and then just working out hard to cut the fat and then get the muscles to show. Like that's been approved. Like a lot of people in Hollywood have said that they took Ozempic because it cuts down your blood sugar. And so then it gets all the fat quicker out. Some people say, what about Jordan Love and Jaden Reed? I don't know about Jaden Reed yet. Somebody said Daniels and Terry McLaurin. I could see that. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jared Goff. I could see that. And so when you see that list, Sam Darnold is getting love from ESPN. And somebody else said this. If Kirk Cousins was the Vikings quarterback right now at 5-0, everybody probably would be pulling for the Vikings, and then they would say Kirk would lose it in prime time in the playoffs. So it's like you can't win either way. I don't think the Vikings ever going to get love until maybe JJ McCarthy takes over fully and he's winning 5-0. But I will say Sam Darnold is getting love here, even though the 49ers, because they didn't say anything about George Kittle or any, Deebo Samuel and what's his name? No mention of that. So that's where, like some people are going to hate and some people are going to actually give them credit. So anyway, we got to move over to the FanDuel locks because that's what a lot of you people are waiting for. You guys want to get some money and get that money. So when we come back, we'll talk about the FanDuel locks. We'll also talk about the unfortunate who hit the 3? Was it Sabrina Ionescu? Yeah, yes. The unfortunate dagger white mamba type moment for her to knock it down. And the Lynx, unfortunately, which they didn't have a letdown though. We talked about would they have a letdown after a big win or after a big win. The first time they did, they lost that other game. This one I wouldn't have said, it was, but it's the race to 3, as we've seen the Lynx post. So we'll talk about that and much more coming up in a minute, but we have a word from our sponsors.
Technical difficulties on my end. Apologies for that. There we go. Okay, we're brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, and you can utilize Game Time picks for the best ticket curation out there. Toggle on the all-in pricing, no hidden fees, panoramic views from your seat. Ron said earlier, you can get in the door to Vikings Lions for around that $250 mark. And hey, any seat in that building is a fantastic atmosphere. You can also get some money off at Game Time when you download the Game Time app. Create an account, use code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code Locked On for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. You've got the final game at Target Center tonight this season. WNBA Finals Game 4. Check out Game Time for that. And then go to Vikings Lions on Sunday. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
And I will say, for those that are using the Game Time app, there is a special that just happened. If you've not been to US Bank Stadium, there's something called the Trust Bar, and it is right outside of the Vikings suite where the alumni sit. And that right now, somebody is selling their ticket. Because again, the closer it gets to game time, this is the key to Game Time app, people. Saturday night, keep an eye on it, because some people drink too much Saturday night and they're like, I'm not going to this game tomorrow, and boom, and they just want to sell their ticket. They want to get their money back. So keep an eye on the Game Time app, because the prices keep changing. Sam, the price is now lowered. The lowest ticket is now $163. So
All right.
It was you were right. Yesterday I looked, it was $254 in the uppers. Now it's down to $163. So it's like the stock market, people. I have the app up on my phone right now. Looks like that. It's kind of cool. Has the stadium. You can see all the views. You can see where you're sitting. But right now, the Trust Bar. So that's drinks. That's food. Somebody is like not going. So it's in the super deal. So look at the super deals. $129 off. So it's only $320 to sit in the suite. So $320 to sit in this Trust Bar. So that's a great deal. So that's somebody that just doesn't want to go right now. I don't know. Maybe they're a Lions fan and they missed their flight, because my mom and them flew in last night, and their flight almost got canceled. So I do know, and a friend of mine just texted me too from Detroit. His flight, he missed his flight. He's an idiot. He missed his flight this morning. So, and he's not sure because they're booked out going into Chicago and Minnesota. So I'm guessing it's a lot of Vikings fans or Lions fans trying to get from Detroit to Minnesota. So they're doing the connection in Chicago, or they're doing it straight through. But either way, he said like all day today, the flights are booked up, and then they're going to check back Saturday because he has to go standby now. So it's a lot of Lions fans coming here, people. So be prepared, Minnesotans. Mall of America will be full of Lions fans. So making sure you guys represent well, and let's keep it civil. Let's keep it civil. Let's shake hands. Let's have some fun. And because I'll be at Benihana's. I'm going to Mall of America because I'm going to Benihana's for my daughter's birthday. Our kid. We always let our kids choose. And our 10-year-old chose Benihana's. I don't know what you guys were kids. I never would have thought about like a steakhouse as a 10-year-old where they're making the food in front of me. I would have picked like a pizza joint or like Chuck E. Cheese. That's how old I am. Like Benihana.
Small town. There's not a place to do any of that.
Where are you from?
I'm from Arkansas, but it's on the border of Louisiana.
So what's the best thing down there? Like the Piggly Wiggly? Like there's no like.
We do have a Walmart.
Okay.
We have a constant rotating door of random restaurants that last.
Let's say Arkansas is where Walmart was originated.
I know.
Yeah, because my uncle used to work he used to be like a VP of Walmart. He's retired now. He's like in his 80s or 90s. No, 80s, I think. So he used to be a VP though, because I remember we went to Arkansas like way back. That would have been 2002 or 2003. I went to Arkansas for the NCAAs for track, and I remember it was down in Arkansas, which they had a heck of a track team. I don't know if they still do, but man, back then in the early 2000s and 2010s, Arkansas was like, people that don't know track, Arkansas got it. And their track is nice too. It's a real nice facility. But I do remember being down there and he was talking about that. Like, yeah, this is where it all started. Here's the Walmarts. It's like, if people just go to the parking lots, like it'd be like people in the parking lots just hanging out on a Friday night, like in a Walmart parking lot. I'm like, what?
That's what my hometown is like. So we don't have like, oh, let's go here for my birthday. No.
Oh man,
Same story, Julia. Small town, South Dakota.
Yeah, there's not like we don't.
So what did you do, Sam? Did you like come to Minnesota for birthdays, or what did you do in South Dakota, or you just had to figure it out?
Sioux Falls. Sioux Falls was the
Sioux
place.
Falls is nice city area. Like it's nice in Sioux Falls.
Growing mid-sized city.
I know we do a lot of softball tournaments there. Like we were
Mhm.
just there. Not we. I don't get to go in the fall. I don't get to go in the fall. I'm stuck here doing football games.
Our closest metropolitan area was where Duck Dynasty is.
Ah, okay. All right. Well, there you have it. We're going to the Mall America, so we will see a lot of Lions fans when we go to Benihana's. I think we're going tomorrow. Because today we're doing an apple orchard. So we have a full apples, pumpkins, get the apple wine. Have you guys ever had the apple wine? If you haven't, you got to go try it. Go to the apple orchard. They make their own fermented apple wine. It is awesome. It is so good. It's not like you can't drink it all year though. It doesn't last. Huh? Yeah. They do the hot cider. They do the apple donuts. They do the apple. Oh, they have these apple candy bites. It's like it goes in granola and raisins. Oh, it's the best. It's like sugared candied apples. So anyway, let's get to these FanDuel locks. We've had enough talk about hometowns and birthdays, but hey, that's my promotion for apple orchards, people. It's great. Go there. Apple wine, Julia, you'll love it. It's really good. I'm not a wine person, but I was like, oh, this is pretty good. So anyway, let's jump into these FanDuel locks real quick. Let's be quick with these. And so Sam, what do you got for your FanDuel lock for this game?
Yeah, I'm looking at Jamison Williams over under. So 47.5. He's had a really good start to the year. He's also been very explosive, a little too explosive. If you look at his game logs, it's like 2 catches, 80 yards, 3 catches, 79 yards. He is totally dependent on the big play, and I get it. He's a blazing speed guy. He's also not their number 1 option. He's probably not their number 2 option. I mean, he's behind Laporta. I think he's behind Amon-Ra, obviously, and they've got a pretty deep stable of weapons. The Vikings are very good at reducing the big play. The Vikings will give up a lot underneath, and they'll give up a lot maybe in garbage time. I don't think that there's going to be a lot of garbage time in this game. I don't think that Jamison Williams is going to be allowed to get behind the defense. So I'm going to take the under on Jamison Williams' yardage, 47.5, under that at -114.
Ooh, Julia.
Should I go spicy here or?
Yes, always.
Okay, I just love this game specials tab. I think I'm gonna go plus 650. Either team to score one. It's either team too, not both. Either team to score 1 rushing touchdown and 1 passing touchdown.
I like that one. I like that one.
I feel like that's a good one.
That is. It's tough though without what's his name? If Aaron Jones can't go, because it doesn't sound like he's gonna go.
Team.
Huh?
It's either team. So
Lions could do it. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was each team has to score 1 rushing touchdown and 1 passing touchdown.
For that, yeah.
So either team, one of the teams has to do both though. One of the teams has to score rushing touchdown. Yeah, Lions most likely will go a rushing and a passing. Like that's
or if you wanted to go spicier for each team scores a touchdown and has a field goal in each half, and that's plus 1,200.
That seems very possible.
Because the other one is each team scores a rushing touchdown, and that's plus 4,600. That's really spicy. If Aaron Jones was playing, I would go. That's probably why it's at 4,600.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones is not playing. Well, I mean, allegedly. We'll see. He said he hurt his hamstring warming up, which is crazy. And then he felt his hip tug later. So yeah, who knows what that is. I'm going to go. I like those. I was thinking about each team scores in all 4 quarters, but that's asking a lot with these defenses. These are 2 great defenses. And so I'm going to go to score 2 touchdowns. This is not a lot. This is more of a, I should have done that in my bowl prediction that Justin Jefferson's going to score 2 touchdowns. I don't know about that one. And I don't want to go against him. Like that's going against the Vikings, but I kind of feel like, anytime touchdown scores, I'm going to go Justin Jefferson and David Montgomery. Like that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do any time touchdown scores, Justin Jefferson, David Montgomery. I think those are locks. The other one could be first or last. So David Montgomery and Justin Jefferson will be the last to score and first to score. So those are other things you guys can pick, people. But I'm going to go David Montgomery and Justin Jefferson both score a touchdown in this game for anytime touchdown scores. So that's my lock. If you guys want it, that gives you your $5 bet and bonus bets. Let's talk about this Lynx reaction real quick. The game 3 loss, and then what do they need to do in game 4? Julia.
Yeah, game 3 loss. Sabrina Ionescu. I mean, she's one of the best shooters in the league, and we see it. We saw it in game 3. That was just, man, it was incredible. It just as a fan of sports in general. So yeah, crazy ending to game 3. This WNBA Finals series has been absolutely bonkers. Tonight, what do the Lynx have to do? They just have to make sure their shots go in the basket and not outside the basket. Essentially, that's the main thing that wasn't working for them at the end of the game there on, what was that, Wednesday night? So yeah, tonight they just have to make the shots that they take, and they would come out with the dub. It's a win to stay alive game for Minnesota because it's game 4 and they're trailing 2-1 in the series. But everything else, they're kind of firing on all cylinders. They are playing their best basketball still, and so are the Liberty. That's why this is the WNBA Finals. So yeah, the main thing, they just offensively, they have to make sure their shots go in the basket, and that's how they would win this game tonight. I think that they do have an edge because of how things ended on Wednesday. But again, this has been the most unpredictable series. And you can get through 3.5 quarters of these games and still not know who's going to win, no matter how much of a lead somebody has, which makes it interesting. But I'll be at the game tonight. We'll be doing hits 4, 5, 6, and 10 on Care 11. So yeah, that's the main thing. That's what everyone's been talking about. That's Cheryl, Fee, Lan. Everyone has said it. That's the main thing that they have to fix tonight.
Yeah, it was a frustrating game on Wednesday because the Lynx had no business even being in a close game at the end. They should have put this away much earlier. They ended the first half extremely lacklusterly. That's not a word, just made it up. They ended the third quarter. That was the real killer. 10-point lead turned into a 1-point lead in like a second. And you got to close quarters in the WNBA Finals. You got to make shots. And I know we're all about Courtney Williams after what she did in game 1, but I thought that she was kind of a ball stopper on the offensive end in this game. She did not play well. She did not shoot well, did not finish at the rim. And the Lynx are known for their ball movement, their unselfish play. I thought that Courtney Williams was maybe a little too assertive at times. I'd much rather have Nafisa Collier in a post-up situation when you need a bucket. And the Lynx just didn't get enough buckets, 38.7% shooting in the game. Alana Smith going to try to play. Her health will be big. Got to have a big day from beyond the arc, I think, to kind of create some separation. I would love to see a game 5. I think that would be epic. That's exactly what the league wants and needs, and it's been the biggest year in WNBA history. It's only appropriate this series goes 5 games.
So for me, I'm going to say the biggest change is there was a Gino Auriemma quote I remember years ago at UConn. He said, "How are you going to win this, Gino?" He's like, "I have Diana." He's talking about Diana Taurasi, and they don't. So for the Lynx, you have Nafisa Collier. They don't. Unleash her this game. This is the game for her to have a Diana Taurasi, a Caitlin Clark, Iowa. Like, you name all the greats. She needs to have one of the Amaya Moore. You know, she needs to have one of the. I can even go back to what's her name? Purple, the maroon mamba for the Gophers. What's her name? She just saw her yesterday. She had the labrum surgery. She was at the game. Former Gopher guard.
Lindsay Whalen.
Not Lindsay Whalen.
Rachel Bannum.
Rachel Bannum. Yep. I just saw Rachel Bannum in Lakeville because she's home and she was at the Lynx game and she had labrum surgery. She's getting married to Andre Hollis, former, or they might already be married, but former Gopher basketball player. So anyway, same thing. You got to have one of those games. You got to take over the game. It's got to be your game. You need to have, I always say this, 30 plus points, they win this game. If she's under 30, they're not going to win. And that's just how it goes with big games like this. So that's my take for that. But we're coming up next. We got to talk about the Timberwolves. They start, and we're going to predict their season after word from our sponsors.
We just gave you the FanDuel locks. Let me tell you a little bit more at FanDuel. When you have a hunch like we have, I've got Jamison Williams under 47.5 yards. You can capitalize on that hunch. If you're a new customer, your first $5 bet results in $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed. We talk about it every Friday. We give you the bets. we've actually got a pretty good winning percentage. You can put your 5 on one of our bets, but if you lose, it doesn't matter. You still get the $200 in bonus bets that you can spread around any line, any league, future bets, whatever you want. Spreads, money lines, over-unders, the whole gamut available for your betting pleasure at FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook. Bet 5, get 200. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and make every moment more.
Well, now it's time to talk about the Timberwolves. So the Timberwolves start on Tuesday, predict their total wins. I'm going to stick to what I've been sticking to. I think this is a team that can get 52 plus wins. Like, this is going to be a 52 win team. I'm almost bold enough to say 56, but the only reason I'm going to stick to the 52 now is the Karl-Anthony Towns, Julius Randle. I think there's going to be some growing pains, I guess I'll call it. Dante DiVincenzo is extremely New York. Like, he's extremely Villanova, New York, like Hooper. Like, so at some point, and Ant doesn't care. Ant doesn't back down. I just worry about how all those like interact, because DiVincenzo, even though Jalen Brunson and some of those Miles Bridges, they were the alphas on that team, the stars. DiVincenzo was kind of like the alpha. You can tell by his interaction with his bench. You can tell by the post game how everybody was trying to calm him down. Like, hey man, it's cool, man. And then Daddy Brunson came over, like, hey man, you cheap for that. Like, don't be talking to Tibbs. Hey, I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to Tibbs. Shut up. Get out my face. Like, it's just. And so I worry about when it gets bad, because when it got bad here before, we know Cat was going to back down to Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards was the alpha. Rudy Gobert doesn't even know what's going on half the time until Draymond chokes him. So I think that the biggest thing with this team is, can they keep it together in tough times? And I think DiVincenzo adds another like alpha on the court with Ant. Like, I can see him and Ant going back and forth talking trash to people together. Like, Ant didn't have, and Julius Randle. Like, Julius Randle's not backing down from anybody either. So now you add 3 kind of like guys that are willing to mix it up on the court, whereas before you really just had like Jaden McDaniels every once in a while, but he wasn't a true like villain. Whereas Julius Randle has been that kind of bully villain every once in a while, and he's willing to take on that role. So yeah, I say 52. I don't know. What do you think, Julia?
I give him 52, if not more. I think. I mean, Julius has already played with Finch before, right? They've worked together, and he had a lot of good things to say. I mean, it's going to be tough to follow up the season that they had, but they still do have most of the parts that they, besides Cat, of course, that they had last year. But I give them 53 or 54. I would say I got faith in this team. I think Dante has yet to even reach the peak of his career so far. I think he's a great addition, and I think Julius Randle also brings great things on both ends of the court. But yeah, Wolves. My prediction. I would say I'm going to give them 53.
Oh, okay. Sam,
Over under is 51.5 on FanDuel.
Of course it is.
It's gone down 1 since the Cat trade, I believe. So There's a little less faith in the Wolves since then. I keep coming back to the health factor, though. Karl-Anthony Towns has recently missed 20 to 30 games a year. He's averaged 50 games played per year the last 5 years. So that's an average of 32 games missed every year. Julius Randle has, he had a bad shoulder issue last year, but he's been actually a healthier player than Cat. So what if you get 70 games out of Julius Randle? And the Wolves won 56 last year, and Cat missed a bunch. So what if Julius plays the whole season? What if you have a little better injury luck? I think over the 51.5, certainly. I'm going to go 55. Go 55 wins. Now, I think the West is tough. The Thunder got better. You got a number of other, like the Spurs won't be a walkover like they were last year as Wemby's gotten better. The Rockets are better. So it's a tough conference. But I still think that with the talent they have, the depth they have, 55 wins. And Julius, some of those young guys you mentioned in that preseason game, taking on the healthy or like the Nuggets, actually playing their guys. Wolves played nobody, and they still made it a game last night. They've got a lot of good depth. Yeah.
So when you think about the way this team is formed, it's going to come down to that health. I think that's a great take there. If Julius Randle does give them 70, 75 games, who knows? Who knows? This might be, but I think DiVincenzo is going to be a sneaky, because I guess Tibbs was saying he couldn't finish. um, to the basket. I guess that must have been in the scout report or something, because he bought that up, which is kind of internal. So clearly somebody dropped a nugget to him, because he was quick to say, can't finish right, Tibbs. Okay. Watch this. Yeah, you see what happens when they let you run the team. I was like, whoa, okay. Like you are mad.
I thought that was hilarious.
So clearly somebody was like, yeah, let's trade it. He can't finish, man. We need a finisher. We need Karl-Anthony Towns, because I'm like, I don't know if they've seen some of Cat's finishes. It ends up being a charge a lot of times. And so I think early on, New York is going to love Cat. And then when Cat does some Cat stuff in games, like shoots a ill-advised three or runs a guy over like he's, TJ Hawkinson back from the first time and, doesn't realize he's running 30 miles an hour. Then I think New York, the media Karl seems to be fragile sometimes with his ego, with how he lets people bother him. And New York is a tough town. Everybody knows that. Like a lot of people can't, like Randy Johnson even said it. He was one of the scariest pitchers. And he was like, man, it's tough walking down the streets of New York and everybody knows who you are. And Cat's one of those people. He's tall. He's not going to be able to hide. I don't care how many hoodies he wears. They're going to know the 6'10" dude walking down the street is probably Karl-Anthony Towns or a basketball player on the team. So now before we get out of here, we got to have a little fun. We're going to talk about Netflix. I did start watching the show. So it's been on, in the studio throughout the show, because we were going to talk about this. And I'm like, you know what? I've only seen blurbs. But then I got a chance to watch episode 2. Thanks to Sam Ekstrom for telling me which episode to watch. And it's a lot of video game playing. There's some family stuff in there. It's a lot of homeboys at the house. So I think, I do think, was it 10 episodes? So I'm guessing because I'm going to probably, tonight when everybody goes to sleep, I'm going to probably watch a little bit more and dial into it. But yeah, like Anthony Edwards, to me, starting off quick, it's a lot of leisure stuff. He's still a 22-year-old kid, so I keep forgetting that. And I do remember when I was that age, I'd spent a ton of time playing video games. So I wonder how the world's going to look at that, because I know the Kobe Bryant comparisons and the Michael Jordan comparisons, but also understand Michael Jordan video games didn't really exist. It was the Atari, I think, back then. So, and Jordan's thing was gambling. At least Anthony Edwards is doing something in the house. He's not spending his money. So that's kind of my take from it. As far as the dunks and the attitude and his aggressiveness, it's everything we thought it was. I'm interested to see how this goes as they get to episode 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and because we know at the end of the day, LeBron and Peyton Manning, I think, put this together. LeBron's going to come out as the alpha dog in this, and he's going to come out looking the best. But I wonder how they put Anthony Edwards at the end, in the light of this whole show. Sam, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I've seen every Anthony Edwards part of this show. I kind of skimmed through just to watch Ant. It's such an interesting person, such an interesting personality. He's very unflappable in a lot of different ways. Nothing really bothers him. He's in the birth of his son with his girlfriend. It's pretty unflappable, pretty unbothered. Losing in the Western Conference Finals, it's pretty unbothered. He does have a very very adaptable personality. He bounces back easily. He's not over emotional. He's not over affected by things. But I really enjoyed him on the court with some of the mic'd up stuff. He does turn into a different guy in that competitive setting. He really knows ball, and he's not afraid to tell his older teammates, hey, watch these back screens. Rudy, set the screen this way. The way he talks to officials and kind of works officials, he's got this really razor sharp basketball mind, where he kind of does reveal a little different part of his personality, which is otherwise totally stoic, in a lot of different ways, kind of fun loving, carefree, but on the basketball court, he's a killer. And that's kind of what we know about him. I think people will probably question his maturity in some ways, just because he is a 22-year-old kid, and that very much comes through. But on the court, man, it's pretty fun to watch. The mic'd up stuff is really cool.
I agree. I think it is interesting to see him kind of be a game manager now that he is stepping into this more veteran role that he has on the team. I do think I love that part of his personality where he is so, whatever, that's life. He takes everything as it is. I think you see the contrast between him and LeBron on the show, where LeBron has everything down to a science and taking care of his body. I think Ant will get there someday. I think Ant's just young. Ant's I don't have a routine. I don't try to stick to a sleep schedule. I don't do this. I don't do that. Eventually, he's not going to be 22 years old anymore, and he'll have to figure out that that's not going to work for him for forever. But right now, I don't think it's terribly important, because he is so young still. He's been in the league for 4 years now? he's still so young. His body's still so young. He's technically still growing. I think some like the immaturity parts that people talk about where it's like, well, he doesn't have routine and he doesn't have this stuff that he does with the trainer. That will come, especially the more that the Wolves invest in him. Too, it will be required of him. But I think the maturity stuff, it comes with time. He's still very young.
Yep.
And that's the thing about Anthony Edwards. You're right. He's young. People forget when men get to like 25 in professional sports, your body takes on a different look. Like you start, like Kobe Bryant talked about that. Giannis, like look at the Greek Freak, what he looked like early on and what he looks like now. That's why people are like wondering what Wemby is possibly going to look like, which I don't think he can put too much more muscle on that frame, but you never know. But yeah, Anthony Edwards is going to have a different mindset now that he's tasted what it could be like to go to an NBA final. And I think, he's trying to do everything he can to get there. I know Kat leaving is a big part, but now Anthony knows like I probably get all the great shots. So when you look at this, it's time for some Vikings football this weekend. The Gophers are on a bye week, so I'm excited to have my first Saturday morning to just sleep in. I have not had a Saturday morning to sleep in 8 weeks now? So this is my first Saturday. I'm excited. Hope you guys are. Hope you guys get out to the apple orchards. I'm Ron Johnson, Sam Ekstrom, Julia Daniels. This has been Locked On Sports Minnesota's Friday Roundtable. I want to thank you guys. Have a great weekend.